The American justice system currently appears to be systemically broken. We do a lot of David and Goliath type cases.
We're a nation of laws, or at least we're supposed to be. We're going to have to test the proofs that underlie this order, which haven't been done.
I'm trying to fight for justice in the American way.
Spent 30 years in the police department. I've seen a lot. You know, what's being said to you today and what you're reading, if it wasn't true 10 years ago, then you have to question that.
How in the hell did we get here and where the hell are we going?
Welcome to another episode of Two Average Joes, where today we learned that I'm not sure anybody wants any good news. I'm just saying it. I'm not going to go into more details. Good news. Any comment on that, Mr. Baker?
We were talking about we should rename our last episode, Will the Tesla Bots Take Over the World and Kill Us? And I think
that is true. Next time, death by robot. And I'm just saying, we'll just go and leave that hanging there. Another interesting week, however, that we had. We had a little talk before this, and I just can't wait to say this. I said, I think that in the old days, that you always brought people up, like whether they were Democrat or Republicans, conservatives or liberals. And I'm at the point that I'm pretty sure those talking points are dead. I think you're either kind of like a globalist or America first. Can't say nationalist because, they've got that down to the fact that if you say that, you might as well trim your mustache down to about this big.
Yeah, right.
So you can't say national because they've killed that word. Oh, and that was done on purpose, by the way, right? But you're either a globalist or America first kind of guy, or you're either a realist or you think the government is okay. You are a believer. And that's that. I'm there now. After this last few times of doing our episodes and stuff, I'm like, either you're kind of a skeptic, kind of a, I'll wait and see kind of guy, or you love the government. You think the government just is great. They're like your religion. It is the religion of government. I never thought we'd see that, but I think we're there.
Yeah. We have, they call it, I guess it's a patriotic movement that's kind of rushing over the United States in different locales, and they're fighting at the local level the overreaching of government. That
right,
and that's what you're basically saying is you trust the government with all of your rights.
Right. Wait a second. Hold that thought. Don't cut that out because I have something to say. That is not a COVID call. Go on.
Right. So as we know, New York, evidently a federal court stopped the mandate in New York. There's a state court lawsuit going on in Ottawa County, which is contiguous with Allegan County. And I have offices in both.
Right. In beautiful Michigan.
In Michigan. And the chief health officer in Michigan resigned here just this week for some unknown reason. I don't know why. It was Caldoun or something like that. But so there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. And we talked about it at our last episode that people who are our family and friends are turning against people because they don't trust the government as to the vaccine or to the mandates or to anything. So where do we go from here? I mean, that is not politics. That is, where is the debate about the efficacy of these vaccines, about the however many booster shots are going to make you have? What about the profits that the pharmaceuticals are making upon? We don't hear that in the press that I see anywhere.
I think it's like 35 billion. That's what the B.
Yeah, and I suspect that's probably low.
They're lowballed it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's it. I think it's the religion that they have about the government is their God. And the government's going to take care of them. And we're all going to get vaccinated and we're all going to be okay. And we're going to get, if we all do it, they're saying this, if we all do what the government tells us, we'll get back to normal. Well, does that mean if we don't do what the government says, they're not going to let us go back to normal? Just asking for a friend, okay?
Well, interestingly, okay, so there's a budget sitting up, and I don't know whether the governor of Michigan signed it or not, but in the budget, it's saying that they're not going to enforce mandates on the states of Michigan citizens in the budget, okay? And it was close to being signed yesterday. I don't know where we're at today, but
we don't know where it's going.
So you have Delta variant raging supposedly in Michigan. You have the Mu and the Lambda variant out there. God only knows what the hell they're doing, but supposedly they're gaining steam. So is this ever going to get over? And the poor people who we had Ken on, and he was talking about autistic children. They're trying to mask up, and people can't wear a mask for health reasons. They still got to wear a mask or not go to school. Or I don't know where this all ends, Joe. Where do you see it going?
Camps. Camps.
Yeah,
where they're I'm not gonna tell you what sort of camps they are, but it's not about focusing hard.
Yeah, right.
That was a bit of a misnomer. They act like they were going to send you to camp so you could focus hard.
Yeah.
I think it'll go to, I don't think we're exaggerating, because there's a difference between what people want and what people will get.
Yeah.
I think you have a large group of people that would be more than happy that if you're in my ability to purchase stuff, that actually our political beliefs could, and they believe they should, affect our credit score, our ability to, be able to purchase stuff.
Well, we're heading into, communism and socialism. And
we're heading into, and you will not be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast.
There we go. That sounds like it, doesn't it?
That really sounds like. It's really funny because being older has some great advantages. There's some not so great advantages.
Yeah.
There's not a lie. There's some not great advantages. But if there is a great advantage, is that when you've been alive long enough, you begin to see the cycle, right?
Yeah.
And I think my older listeners will appreciate this tale I'm about to tell.
Right.
I'm probably a teenager, maybe early 20s best, when they put the barcodes on the food. Okay, barcodes to do it. The barcodes were on the food packaging long before they ever used them. In other words, you have barcodes, but you're a person this is back in the old days for new people. They used to actually go through the line and they rang up your groceries for you. Right?
I like them.
They would actually check the price on the thing and you'd go do it, okay? The barcode was already there. And of course, some of my more religious older friends all said, that is the mark of the beast. And then they would say something ridiculously stupid like, when they be able to get those bars on there, they're going to be able to monitor everything you ever buy.
Right.
I'm like, you fool you. They will never monitor that. Yeah. I will pay cash for everything.
Yeah.
There's a coin shortage. And y'all don't take cash.
Right.
See, what do you got? You want what? Oh, my card. With my name on it. And my social security. And my address. The mark of the beast. That's all I gotta say.
So
he was right. He was 100% correct.
Right. That's the slippery slope.
It is, man. It is. That guy called it. He called it, man. He just absolutely called it.
Right.
And I probably had 2 or 3 older people who I thought were ridiculous say stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. Then I'm reading, if you're politically correct, if you're not politically correct, maybe they should affect your credit score.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should, be fruitful and multiply with yourself.
What do you think the difference is between now and back when everybody did the polio vaccines, right? When we were kids, that everybody, I don't remember any uprising or any questionability of the government. Do you recall any?
I remember the shot, and I'm trying to think which was we all got that little shot on our arm.
Yeah, that was the one that left a scar.
Yeah, they actually deformed you, right?
Yeah, right.
I think the difference is that none of that was politicized. I think that actually when they did the polio shots and you were getting your original vaccinations where we were actually lit up in school and got shot in the arm.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the difference is that there was no politics to that. I think it was all like your doctor kind of stuff. Like it was like the doctor said, the doctors, in our community, let me emphasize, in our community, believe that we need to be vaccinated. Right. It wasn't some senile, old, decrepit monkey skeleton of a man that we call president telling me I needed a booster. That didn't happen.
Right.
Okay. I think that if you keep things on, if going back and like you get in a time machine and you had local medical people going, we got an answer for this.
Yeah.
The doctors in our area think we need to, that these vaccinations, you would have a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But we got as a governor.
Yeah, the pediatricians and the doctors would be saying, yeah, you should get this test. And then if the parents trusted the doctor, they would get the test. I mean,
they wouldn't ask anything of it. They wouldn't have. And then you get what you get now, you got Donald Trump. This pandemic breaks out. It's his fault that everybody's dying. Donald, what did you want him to do?
Right.
What did you want him to do? Did you want everybody to wear a mask, get 6 feet apart? We did that and people were dying.
Yeah.
We didn't do it fast enough. How fast is fast enough?
Yeah.
We shut down the entire world. We destroyed our economy.
Yep.
We paid people money not to go to work while people who went to work made less money.
Yeah.
We did every fool thing that anybody asked us to do, and we're still there, and we're still, talking about a vax, and you got people. I didn't think that when you had vaxes in the past, and if anybody is listening and I'm wrong, make a comment. I don't remember any old liberal goofballs who know nothing on Facebook during this time.
Yeah.
They might have been old liberal goofballs, but there was no Facebook.
Well, they didn't. I don't believe. Was there any stigma for not taking the damn polio?
No, nobody would have.
It didn't stigmatize it, and it wasn't coming from. I don't know who was the freaking president back then. It would have been Johnson, or
it would have probably been Nixon.
Nixon.
It would have probably been Richard Milhouse Nixon.
We'd have to do, if we had a research staff, we could do a research thing to determine what the president had to say about whenever the polio vaccine came out.
Well, I think that's with the polio one. I think that might have been true.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that since I have no staff right now.
Yeah, true.
But no, they wouldn't have had that, and I think there would have been encouragement, but I think it would have came from doctors.
Yeah, instead of politicians from on high saying that, and they're making it anti-patriotic that we are. Somebody who doesn't get a vaccine is in some way damaging the public and risking somebody else. But they have never said that the vaccine stops you from getting it or stops you from spreading it. So the logic doesn't fly. I don't get their logic.
If the vaccine don't protect you or you don't get it, it ain't much of a vaccine. I like what people say there. What they really meant to say was that you would get less sick. No,
that's what they're saying.
That is horseshit. That is not horseshit. For my viewers, if somebody ever comes up and says that, after you get done saying that's horseshit, and will you please get me an article where they said let's vaccinate so you get less sick?
Right.
Didn't happen.
Great.
But I do want to go back onto it. It's the religion of government.
Yeah.
It's the religion of the government knows more about your rights than you do. And it's a religion. And I think that that's going to be the interesting thing for those of us that are not partakers of that religion.
Yeah, that they forget that our founding fathers had a huge skepticism of government.
Right.
From coming over from England and knowing how people are and how politicians are, that, I mean, there is a skepticism in America, and it's pervasive, and we can feel it. I'm sure you're feeling it in Mississippi. I don't know whether you felt it in Virginia.
I felt it in Virginia, but I feel it more in Mississippi. Has a lot more of Michigan in them, and vice versa.
Yeah. And Michigan is on fire with, I mean, it is.
Y'all are the kings of it. We are merely friends down here. Wait a second. My research team is looking up something.
Yeah.
Talk them, smoke if you got them.
Yeah, right. Hamster on a wheel, right?
Right. Just go ahead. Let me check something out because my research team is working hard here. Because I want to be correct, because I don't want to have to get get any more editing in here than we do.
Right.
But this is very interesting, because when I was teaching my kids, I thought that this was a very important one, because you talk about the First and the Second Amendment, the Fourth and the Fifth Amendment, and you do this. But you were talking about the skepticism between government, right?
Yeah.
And this is one that when you're talking to like high school students, it's like kind of hard to explain because this one isn't exciting, right? But I've always had like a little bit of charm with the Third Amendment. I want to make sure I got it right, which is talking about not trusting the government. No soldier shall in time of peace be quarantined at any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but prescribed by law. Right. In other words, it was like, this stuff about like the government coming over and taking over your house.
Right.
They can just come over and take over your house.
Yeah.
That's crap. And now it's like, they're like, I don't know if you can have a Bible study in your house because are you zoned for this?
Yeah, right. Right.
Are you zoned? Can you collect rainwater on here? Okay. Yeah, we've come a long way. And it never had anything to do with soldiers. It was about your house, your property. The government can't take over your property.
Well, and the sanctity of your castle.
Yes. But that's down to shooter right now. People, they just really it started off good. Okay.
Yeah, it always does.
Yes, it always does. Right before you're bludgeoned to death, it was a good idea. Something
it goes horribly wrong. It goes right.
And then you're bludgeoned for death. They came over to ask for a cup of sugar, and then you got bludgeoned to death, right? It all starts off with your yard. And there's the guy that won't mow his grass. Okay.
Right.
So instead of people going, maybe we'll just let his house look like crap, but don't mess with my house. No. We now need a code.
Yeah.
Code is code for law. Okay. We need a law that says that he has to mow his grass. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they're telling you what you can do in your own house.
Or, what color your house can be, what size. You can't have a camper in your yard. I mean,
you only can have so many cars in your yard, because otherwise, I don't know what the otherwise is, right?
Blight. They call it blight.
Blight. Yeah, I got some blight for you. Okay. I find some blight.
Yep.
There's a bridge in Texas that used to have a bunch of migrants trying to come in here, who, by the way, that was no accident.
Yep.
I love the way the media does it. It's like, they all came here. They all made this dangerous journey.
Right.
No, somebody organized. You think they didn't have food? You think they didn't have water?
Yeah.
You think they didn't have anything to eat? Stop being stupid.
Well,
government.
Yeah, on the trust of government thing, and you and I talked about it pre-show. Now, they have had 18 months, the hospitals have,
Yes.
And I don't know whether it's billions or trillions of dollars thrown at these hospitals.
Yes.
And now we are in a second wave, or the beginning of a second wave or third wave, whatever the hell it is. And they are not prepared, and they're blaming the non-vaccinated
Right.
non-preparation, which is appalling to me, that they now have had 18 months to crank out as many frickin' ventilators as they ever thought they would need.
Right.
And I forget, was it in Massachusetts that 74% of the people in that hospital were vaccinated?
Right.
So it doesn't fit their narrative, so it doesn't hit the mainstream media. And
my favorite story out there right now is, they're overcrowded again. Yeah, you know why? Because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Yeah. My heart goes out to you the first time. Nobody was ready for it.
Yeah, true.
But if the second time you don't have rooms and ventilators, what did you spend the money on?
Right.
As a matter of fact, if I'm sick and I'm going in a hospital and I'm sick, and they go, Joe, there's no room here because of the pandemic. I'm going to say, please, let me die on the way somewhere else where perhaps there is a hospital with professionals in it that aren't getting caught off guard for the second damn time.
Right.
That's the story.
That is the story.
That's the story. Horseshit hospitals. Yeah, horseshit hospitals that didn't do their friggin' job, and they're not prepared for the second round. But I guarantee you they got money.
Yeah.
Every last one of them. No, Joe, those rooms are. No, I've been in one. It's a room. It's empty with a bunch of stuff in it. Are you thinking that every hospital you have 100% occupancy? Do you really believe that, you poor, misguided fool? You believe your local hospital is at 100% occupancy every day?
Right.
This is about equipment they should have bought, equipment they had money for. Right. Well, we have no staff. Well, you apparently should have hired some people. Yeah. But that's all right, because you know what your answer is going to be? You don't have any staff, so if they don't get vaccinated, you're going to fire them so you can have less staff.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the story, people. Don't let this government-run religion that's going on. We just got to call it out every time for what it is.
Yeah.
It's a government-ran religion, and it's pitiful. And like I said, I don't have any sympathy. And look, I'm a guy that had open heart surgery. I was at 2 different hospitals. They were wonderful.
Yeah.
I had the best medical care in the world.
Yeah.
I swear to you, I'm not saying that to be funny. I was at 2 different hospitals, 2 separate teams of people. I had the best medical treatment in the world. I believe that. But then they didn't say stupid stuff like that, did they?
I bet you go to that hospital and they're prepared.
No, they're prepared. They were prepared. They're prepared.
So who is not prepared? And why are they even licensed as a hospital now?
Yeah.
If they've had 18 months to prepare,
yeah,
knowing that people are going to go back inside as winter comes around, and there's very likely going to be another outbreak, another freaking variant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And vaccines ain't going to get us out of it. I mean, they keep saying it, but I haven't seen any science that proves that. Yeah, herd immunity. I don't. I don't.
But I watch some football. The stadiums are giant packed. They're packed.
Yeah. Right.
They're packed, But your kid's wearing a mask in school, by the way.
They're
not at the football game, but your kids.
And let me tell you, I told you this earlier, that I have a lawyer who works for me, and his son evidently had a cough, so they sent him home from school and said, "Hey, you got to get him COVID tested before you bring him back." So my guy says, "Well, can we just do a quick test?" There's no quick test to be had anywhere on the planet,
right?
Rite Aid or whatever, So he takes them to the local hospital. Well, the local hospital is like a hot box. Okay, so they take him through into a room where all these people think they have COVID. None of the doorknobs are being wiped down before or after anybody walking in. He didn't see any hand sanitizer anywhere to be had. And so they walk his poor 5-year-old and him, who doesn't have COVID or didn't think he had COVID,
to the gauntlet of COVID.
So the gauntlet of COVID, right? So who's running the ship here? I mean, who's steering the boat? I don't understand. If this is so critical then why would you have people who believe that they have COVID and not properly field them through a gauntlet of protection instead of taking people who probably
Don't have did not beforehand.
did not have it. My guy didn't have it for sure. And he's carrying his poor young kid in there. And I'm like, this is not right. I don't get it. I really don't. And then we're anti-patriotic if you don't get a vaccine.
You don't love America unless you tell people. You know what? You don't love America unless you do what the government tells you. I never thought I would live long enough to hear those stupid words all strung together.
Well, they've been saying that since the beginning of time, but
I'll tell you what, I am stunned. You know, it also reminds me, like, there's a lot of people right now, you see it in the military, nurses. They're like, I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm just gonna, if they fire me, they fire me.
yeah, I've had a couple people call me about potential lawsuits, but they have to lose their job first and be damaged before we can sue.
Yeah, I mean, everything's crazy, and I mean, so you sit there and you go, really, is that the world we live in? And it's there. I think when you see some of that, and I think this goes back into a lot of what we talk about in every episode about making sure you're not just watching mainstream media, is what does that tell you when people are willing to lose everything? When people who are close to it are going, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure about this. I mean, it says a lot. So I do think we're entering a new kind of world where you're going to have a lot more people just, for no better word, be defiant, because I think the people that have not been vaccinated or didn't go back for their second shot or not going to go get the booster, however you want to look at it. Yeah. They're not going. They're MSNBC can run every stupid story, Right. Como, when he's, not protecting his brother being a sexual predator or being a sexual predator himself, right?
Right.
He can, when he's not busy trying to be a sexual predator, because apparently when he was at ABC, they're accusing him of something else. Allegedly,
right? All
right, sexual predator. They can try to make you feel guilty, but I think the people that have made up their mind and the people that have seen weird stuff, I know people right now that got vaccinated who really will never get a booster. They just, it's just like, first off, it should have never came from Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Rule number one, if you're going to talk about the vaccination, you have to be able to walk up airplane steps. Okay, that's just the rules. If you fall up the airplane steps, not once, not twice, but about 3 or 4 times, probably don't need to give me any health advice. Right. 2, I think it leads back into what I'm saying is that people don't feel like there's any control there. It's just some federal mandated programs, and the governors are just, slopping up what the feds say.
Yeah.
And so when I look at that, I go, okay, that kind of makes sense that people feel the way that they do. But again, we've talked about this numerous times. I think people do need to start looking at their local level. They need to start looking like the Ottawa situation. There'll be a link downstairs there, so you can click it in. But
yeah,
looking at the Ottawa situation where the health guy's like, they don't have anything. Just like being a jerk. And you're like, dude, nobody elected you.
Right.
And 2, why do you got that much power? We've got a lot of people wielding a lot of power in this country who nobody voted for. And I think if there was anything I was going to suggest to people and anything I would say to maybe, just listeners and people I talk to is we need to be a lot more attentive to what's going on locally. We must, I think that on the state and regional and most local levels, we need, if you elect a dog catcher, we need to have everybody very accountable.
Yeah.
There should be nobody on a city council, no mayor, no dog catcher, no sheriff, no elected official locally that should ever be comfortable. They should go to work every day going, I hope everybody's happy because they'll unelect me.
Yeah, right.
And I mean that. I mean, they should be doing the will of the people.
Yeah.
Not the will of some big donor.
Yeah, we're not holding them accountable in any way.
No.
And, you know, the higher levels, senators and congressmen, all that other stuff, they keep getting reelected.
Yeah.
And they're not leading. They're not, I don't even know what they're doing, honestly.
They're making a profit is what they're doing. They're in it for their own personal gain. I'll give you a good example. And I think it's one of the things that as our program grows, it actually should grow a little bit like bringing things closer to the forefront.
Yeah.
But let's say you live in a community and you've had local people running your community and they basically suck. And everybody knows they suck. But the same rich people in your community continue to give them money.
Yeah.
The same organizations keep giving them money. The same businessmen keep giving them money. Aren't they responsible for the failure if you prop this guy up?
You would think so.
Yeah, they are. And I think that people need to look at that. You go, okay, now so-and-so got elected mayor. Now who? Is this public record? Who gave money to this circus clown?
Yeah.
You know, and if the
We
guy's
see-
in, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we see it locally and more because I'm an attorney, but
Mhm.
the judges that we elect and the prosecutor that we elect has a huge effect on how your person's constitutional rights are upheld. And most people don't even know who they're electing. They think, hey, a good guy was a prosecutor for 20, 30 years. He'd make a good judge. No, that's not exactly true.
That's actually the opposite.
It is the opposite.
It's the opposite. I'll give you an example. If your Commonwealth or district attorney is a weenie and he's soft on crime and he doesn't care about people's constitutional rights, or maybe the law is something he has never thought about, that person is destroying your community more than Joe Biden.
Yeah.
No, he's
And that
destroying.
we've talked about it, that I have sitting in my office, 3 or 4 times a week, if not 3 or 4 times a day, people who once they find out what the system is really like, they go, hey, this ain't America. I'm like, yeah, it's America.
It's America. You just didn't know it.
Yeah,
Like you like to say, until you're sitting in my office crying, you didn't know this was America.
That's exactly right.
It's the truth. And I think that I hope that as we grow, that there is a little bit about that. It's very easy. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. There's no bias to me. I hate Joe Biden. I think if you voted for Joe Biden, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much I dislike him. But actually, that sorry prosecutor, that sorry judge, that sorry city councilman, that sorry alderman, that sorry mayor, that sorry sheriff, that sorry dog catcher, whoever you voted for, that's really where your life is most affected.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
And you, and I'll say this, if your sheriff is not about your constitutional rights, he shouldn't be your sheriff.
Yep.
Your sheriff is not the chief of police. If your sheriff is functioning, we'll have a whole episode on this, okay? If your sheriff is functioning like a chief of police, you should unelect him.
Yeah, right.
Okay? If your sheriff is worried about getting money from city council
Yeah.
because he's afraid they're not going to give him any cars, you should probably impeach him or whatever you do to get rid of him mid-sentence, okay?
Right.
Because he's the sheriff and he shouldn't function like that. He shouldn't function like that.
Yeah.
He should actually have a bully pulpit.
Yeah.
A sheriff worth his salt would basically go, I want to tell you something, crime's this way, and just got done talking to Councilman Bob, and he pretty much said if I don't do what he says, they're not going to give us any cars. So you might want to be in his office Monday. Let him know that if I don't have any cars, there's going to be crime, and that blood's going to be on his hands. Have a nice day. Vote for me in November.
Yeah, as you know, Joe, I'm representing Marlena Hackney, Pavlos Hackney, who has the restaurant over in Holland, who did a few days in jail for basically slinging food.
Right.
And we just filed an appeal, or a response to the appeal.
Mm-mm.
We filed an appeal. The Attorney General's office filed a response, and we filed a response to their response. And in it, interestingly, the 2 sheriffs here in the contiguous counties, the one that Marlena's restaurant's in, which is Allegan County, and the sheriff for Ottawa County, both refused to arrest her on a civil arrest warrant that was issued from Ingham County, which that's exactly what you're saying is that.
Yeah, you're not a chief of police, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so for them to refuse the highest law enforcement officer of the state,
Right. That's their job.
Even the Michigan State Police, as you know, denied. They wouldn't do it without being directly ordered.
I will tell you, the Michigan State Police are put in a terrible situation. They did send 8 of them to arrest her because it was felonious, hash or something. I don't know. But I will give them credit. They did it against their will, and it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. And they did. They handled her with kid gloves, and I have a lot of respect for Michigan.
Yeah,
State.
I'm not going to dog them. They were put in a horrible situation. They did what they, I guess, had to do. But sheriffs don't have to do that.
Right.
And I can assure you that if more sheriffs just said, "I'll tell you what, keep doing that," now I'm just going to start having news conferences going, "I don't know what the attorney general doing. Apparently, he or she is rogue.
Yeah, right.
He's out of control." And like I said, here's the funny thing: they could come after you, the attorney general, and you could fight them, and they might even win, and you censor you, try to get you. And if you get elected again, you're still the sheriff.
Right.
You're still the sheriff. Sheriffs have got they got a weird job. I think most of the sheriffs I have known, I have been impressed with.
Yeah.
But there are times, just from things I've seen, I'm worried that some of them think they're a chief of police, and you're not.
Right.
You are actually a very important person in the wheel of justice.
Yeah.
But I do hope people look at that. Hope that people, as time goes by, understand that their local government is important, or more important than anything you're watching on TV.
Yeah.
Your mayor, if they think is affects your day-to-day life. Okay. I know that we all want to sit there and talk about some school system and doing something ridiculous like in Arizona or Seattle or San Francisco. It's like, do you know what they're doing in your own community?
Yeah.
Now you go, well, Joe, I don't have any kids in the school system, but they're taxing you, right? You're paying taxes for school. You had a dog in this fight. They're spending your money.
Mm-hmm.
They're spending your money. If you live in an area and they're collecting taxes from you and it's an F school system, what are they doing with your money?
Exactly.
And I think we have to be more hard on that. And I think as we grow, spend a little more time talking about some local stuff, because your local stuff is what's really going to beat you down. We got to deal with the feds, and we all know what, they're out of control. No need to lie, but it's the local stuff. You got to pay attention. I think before we finish up though, there is one thing I want to say. I think that for our listeners, and we thank all of you, that we're going to probably start having a few more people on regularly. We're going to expand who's on and some things like that. I think they'll be excited, but they have to support local media. They're going to have to support, not only local media, but independent media. They're going to have to support people like us, Robert. They're just going to have to, because I think the day will get that unless you really start looking for news, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. It's funny. Every week I send out our video, to which everybody sends me 14 videos back because they want to help me get information, right? Which I like, but I have had 2 or 3 really good videos that I've watched in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 3 or 4 really good ones. And it is weird that you could piece together where 5, 6, 7, 8 different media outlets are talking about the same thing, and they are literally saying the same words. They are literally saying the same words. You can take stuff like from CNN, MSNBC, local news, and they literally are saying the exact same words.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Fox is perfect, but you don't usually see the people. You don't see Tucker Carlson in that group of people saying the same words, right?
No.
But I got to tell you something. You better be aware of it. I don't think, as much as it sounds like it's self-satisfying, self-promotion, I don't think we can say it enough. You really got to understand that people are getting their media from people where it's just one elitist group writing the narrative. Yeah. And I think that if you're listening to this show and you have a tendency not to be on those networks and are looking at independent media, You need to call out your friends when they say that. If they said something like they're CNN, it's like, look, dude, do you really think they wrote that?
Right.
I mean, do you really believe when you turn on MSNBC, they wrote that? CBS News, you think they wrote that? Somebody wrote it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's weird because the first thing they're going to say is, that's a conspiracy theory. No, facts are never conspiracy theories. And by the way, if two or more people get together and contemplate a crime, that's a conspiracy.
That's exactly a conspiracy.
Happens every day. You know, as a matter of fact, you know what would really be odd? You know, it'd be amazingly odd. Quote me on this. If there were no conspiracy, that would be earth-shattering, right? Not that there's conspiracy theory, because there's conspiracy every day. The people that went in and the two kids that stole a candy bar because one of them distracted the cashier, that was actually a conspiracy to commit a crime.
Right.
Okay. Conspiracies happen every day. You know what don't happen every day? No conspiracies. You know what else don't happen every day? Coincidences. There are no coincidences. 10,000 Haitians didn't show up under the bridge because all of a sudden one day they all decided to walk by themselves. Okay. Conspiracy. It's what happens every day.
They broomed them pretty quick too.
Yeah, buddy, they did. Nobody knows where they're at, but they're coming to a neighborhood near you.
Yeah. And then the poor bastards that were riding horseback, they get the rough
They get
end
the blame. Yeah, that was the greatest distraction technique I had ever seen. I mean, they took one picture of a guy. He didn't hit anybody.
Right.
Not even a whip. And got everybody to stop talking about how the hell does everybody show up here by chance?
Right.
But it's, again, always remember this, quote me on it, is the religion of government.
Yeah.
And there are more people sucking that tit than you'll ever imagine.
I was watching something this morning and it said there may have been up to 35,000 people under that bridge or and around it.
All of them vaccinated.
Oh, sure.
All with cards.
Yeah.
It wasn't a super spreader event, or his whatever her name is. We didn't do it because they're not going to be here long.
Yeah. Interestingly, they had a gal on who evidently is a human rights activist down there.
Right.
Saying there was no difference between the Biden administration and the Trump administration as to how they're handling all these folks.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You got 35,000 people. No vaccines, no direction, no nothing. And you got to deal with them.
Yeah.
You know, if you actually cared about civil rights, you wouldn't want them here because they're suffering when they're under the bridge.
Yeah, right.
And they're being exploited.
Yeah.
And they're being sexually exploited. They're being exploited in every way. They will come here and they will be poor. But if you really, but you're a human rights activist who don't care about human rights.
Right.
All you want to do is nurse on the government tit. And that's the fact, man. I'm going to tell you, it's just it. And I think that more conservative people and more people who are free thinkers, and I think I like the term free thinker better than conservative.
Yeah.
You know, if people are talking to you and you go, they're the religion of the government. You know, just say, get off the government tit. Okay, just grow up, be an adult. You know, look at 35,000 people, 10,000 people, it don't matter. Didn't show up by mistake. That's not a conspiracy. That's a fact. You know,
if we're going to have a healthy democracy, though, which I'm not sure whether I think are a little iffy on the healthiness of our democracy.
Yes, I'm questioning it.
But if we look back to our founding fathers, and we had a healthy skepticism of our government, which I think is healthy.
Right, we should.
Which is supposed to trigger a debate, an intellectual debate.
Yeah. Which
is totally vacant or missing in our.
Now it's name calling.
Yeah, right.
I am sure somewhere some moron with a double-digit IQ thinks, you know, and he is privileged. Nah, my IQ just breaks 85.
Right.
There's my privilege. I don't have an 85 IQ.
Right. Well, how do we take it home today?
Huh?
How do we take it home today?
Don't trust anybody, man, especially the government.
Yeah.
And if the government says they're there to help you, they're not.
Yeah.
And
when they start naming things, you could pretty much, they're going to do opposite what it's named.
Right. If they say the Patriot Act, there's nothing patriotic about it.
Yeah.
If they say they're here to help us with our freedom, they're taking stuff away.
Yeah. Break out the Astroglide, bend over.
Yeah, that's it. I'll tell you what. If the government comes up to me and tell them that they're going to help me, I just want to know, which hand do you got the Vaseline on?
Right.
They're not here to help me, you, or anybody else. Okay, buddy, until next time, y'all guys take it easy, and thank you for watching or listening. We'll talk to everybody soon.
Have a good one.